Maybe this is it. How about now? Maybe we've got some audio now.
Can
If you want to pull it
can you
up.
hear us?
Except it's
Thank
probably
you.
only for
Oh,
recording. Oh, I guess we're here. We've got some audio now.
and yeah. Yes. Ah, there we go.
All right, I'm gonna go back to having a nervous
Yep.
breakdown, I guess.
Woo woo. We are here.
Welcome to the Trying to Change Platforms show and failing miserably.
It's all good. It's all good. It kind of fits with what we're talking about today, or not really, but I'll make it integrate. I'll make it integrate. We did this all on purpose to set you up for knowing that there are other things out there than your regular 9 to 5 job. You can fail at a podcast as well.
There is sufficient evidence presented that we've done for that, yes.
Right. Aloha. Welcome to Power Perspective. I am April. This is Aaron. And we reframe conversations with empathy and humor. And I would also like to say there is no such thing as failure, only feedback. That's it, just feedback.
So if
We
you were to
learn
die tomorrow, is that the thing that you want? Is that the one thing you want?
that people to know
Yeah.
there's no such thing as
Yeah.
failure, only
That's what we're gonna
feedback.
put on your headstone. It's the only thing anybody's gonna remember you said. Do you
No,
want it to be that?
don't be an a-hole. I want it to be don't be an a-hole. That's my message for everyone in my death. Just don't be an a-hole. That's it. It's not necessary. Come
You
on.
need to have some seminars with the drivers here in
In
North Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just jump into it, I guess, since
Yeah.
now that
Since
we're
we're 13 minutes in,
to a
that time went
to a
by
hot
fast. Guys,
mess.
imagine if your 9 to 5 workday went by that fast, right? That 13 minutes felt like 30 seconds.
It felt like 2 hours for me. So I guess it depends on which side of
Uh,
what you
I
got going
guess
on. Uh,
I guess it depends on what work you're doing. This is such a great just
so we're here at the
line.
end of Striketober. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
I
because there's a
didn't.
record number.
What
There's
does
a
that mean?
record number of private sector unions that are authorizing strikes, yeah,
Strikes?
or threatening strikes for healthcare, higher education, telecommunications, transportation, television, mining, manufacturing, music, metals, oil, carpentry, whiskey, and cereal.
Wow. We're like our union is a no strike union though. What is that like? So they can't strike, right?
I mean, based on just what you've told me so far, I would say that probably not. They probably wouldn't
I think
authorize a strike. I don't know how that would
they
work.
had a walkout. Guys, this is hilarious. They had a walkout and they're like, everybody, we're gonna meet at the county building, blah blah blah, at 4 p.m. So after the school and work day, people, this was the walkout. After the school and work day, we're gonna meet at the county building and put down our foot.
So it was a protest, not a strike, not a walkout. It was just a
Yeah, but they called it a
protest.
walkout, like they were
Like
trying
we're
to
gonna
be
walk
brave.
out of
Yeah.
work and go to the Capitol.
Yes, we're gonna walk out at the end of our contracted workday.
Which, to be fair, a lot of teachers don't do. So
That's
it
very
it, it was
true.
an
We're
extracurricular
not gonna
walkout.
give we're not gonna do all those extra hours that we normally do for free. On today, we're gonna walk to the
It's
building
like showing
instead.
up at one of those non-mandatory meetings and then leaving, like showing up just to leave.
Just
Yeah.
to leave, yeah, to say, oh look, I don't have to be here. Oh
So yeah,
Lord.
things are
Yeah,
things are
teachers.
crazy right now. There's so many people unemployed, so many companies looking for employers that or employees that just can't find them.
So many people walking out on
Yeah.
purpose, not just unemployed, unintentionally unemployed. And it was because they were getting extra um,
Well, and
unemployment.
there was a lot of things involved in the whole pandemic thing. I mean, you saw companies downsize, smaller companies that weren't getting sufficient support and had to downsize to stay afloat. Some of them went under. There was only reasons for people to be losing jobs over the last couple of years.
Yeah, true that. True
So it's
that.
been
But
bad.
even teachers, like teachers have had jobs. There's been no reduction of force. And yet teachers are
Yeah.
mass exiting.
And there's
Like
there's no doubt
great.
that any kind of mandatory vaccine thing is going to cause an issue, as we saw with
Well,
Southwest. I mean, people are ready and willing to
yeah,
stand up against mandatory
the business,
vaccination. Yeah.
as they should. And whether no matter what side you're on, you shouldn't be forced to force someone to do with your body. But that's not the point. I had a very good point, and I have lost it. Jobs. Oh, with all of this happening, right? So they're trying to attract people into their businesses. So, for example, like some state, and I think a lot of states, McDonald's is going to raise their starting wage to like $15 an hour, right? Well, now you're coming close to a teacher's wage. So, why am I going to kill myself teaching with 3 degrees when I could just go work at
And you'd
McDonald's?
probably be a manager in a couple of months, and you'll be
Yeah.
making more
And
than
then
a
I'd own
teacher's
the
salary.
McDonald's, right?
Well, I mean, and
Yeah.
it's a good
So,
point. I mean, there's been talks about mandatory minimum wage and stuff like that, and obviously the issues with minimum wages, especially when you talk about things like inflation, over time don't do anything. So if the minimum wage was raised to $15, 20 years ago, we'd be looking at something completely different now as far as the environment that we're in, and $15 wouldn't carry the same value, right?
it would be the same exact situation,
Yeah.
right? Just different
Yeah,
numbers.
and what
Yeah.
we're doing now is what you see in any market. When you create scarcity, the value of that product will increase. And so we're seeing the value of work increase, and we're getting more power back as employees as a result of all of it.
And that's what's funny because the school district said that in Las Vegas. The CCSD school district was like very flippant about teachers quitting because of the mandatory vaccine. And they're like, oh, we can replace you. And at the time, with the thoughts that they had at the time, they were like, in the past, they're right. You definitely could replace a teacher. You can't replace a good teacher, but not many teachers are very good
Yeah.
teachers. So you can easily replace someone who a yes man. You can replace those yes men all day long. But now, I don't even think you could.
Yeah, it's an issue that I mean, I'm seeing it at work. We're having trouble getting people, and there's I mean a lot of conversations about how much other companies pay and stuff, and the issues that we're having and how they need to be resolved, and all of it is
Yeah.
pay more. And I mean it
Yeah, but just like you said, we pay more and then what? And I think in when even with especially with regards to teachers, of course, this is really the only profession I know, guys. But especially with regards to teachers, it's not even the pay, it's the pay in relation to the pay of other things, right? And so the pay does not equate to the value that is performed in society. So it's an imbalance
well, even
issue, not even
an
just
ability
pay.
to live a comfortable life as a teacher. Like, you shouldn't get into teaching, especially with the extra time that you have to spend knowing that you have to have a side hustle to stay afloat.
Yeah. Yes, you have to have a side hustle to first, especially now with rent and stuff the way it is. You if you live in Las Vegas and you're in your first 3 years of teaching and you're just renting like a 1 bedroom, you're struggling and guarantee you have a second gig for
Yeah.
sure.
But I mean, we're so this
And
is
we're
going to
gonna
give
do
us more
that
power back. I mean, just like we were talking.
eventually.
Um, well, no, it's doing it right now because things are going to have to change if people want employees, right? So as far as that's half of it. Half of it is that, and it's better that the market determines it, because if we follow the market and continue to maintain that power and use this experience as willingness to quit our jobs in the future, we will, as a collective, maintain that power and that leverage against employers in general, not necessarily anyone's individual employer, but
Ooh, this makes me think though, because then it leads to weak professions. Professions not weak. I'm gonna be super offensive, but I don't know other ways to say this. But so professions that are traditionally go with the flowers, like teachers. Teachers do not notoriously stand up for themselves. It had to come to this extreme, right, for teachers to do that. So they'll always be the last in getting what they quote unquote
yeah.
deserve, right? I mean, teachers have been underpaid forever, but we just do it because teachers have been piled extra stuff on. It gets more and more every year, all this extra stuff, and we just do it. And we don't really say anything, although Conroy says we complain a lot. But teachers, that's his thing. Teachers complain all the time. All the time. That's what teachers do. But I personally, obviously being very biased, think it's warranted, right? But like you said, if we don't stand up and are willing to say no and are willing to walk away, then all your complaining all day long doesn't do anything. You have to be willing to put your
Yeah,
foot down.
that's absolutely true. And I think, and to go back to your point, because I know I've kind of half dismissed the ideas of UBI, Universal Basic Income, on all of that. But if this is like, if we're using it, so if we end up having that let's just stick with the $1,000 a month, right? If everybody's getting $1,000 a month, how much more likely will you be to quit your job in a bad situation? Probably a lot higher.
That's true. That is a good point.
So maybe
That is a
it's a
good
way
point.
to change the market, to change the work market, and give people the power to be able to stand up because they know they have an
Yeah.
alternative. If you end up jobless because you had to leave, that you could at least still accomplish something. You know what I mean? You
You
can
could
stay
still
eat.
afford food and
Yeah.
shelter.
I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
where on $1,000 a month, but it's
Yeah, I
a
don't know.
start for a
Yeah,
conversation. Go.
just random
Yeah.
number
Yeah.
thrown out.
So I mean, I think that would be helpful. I mean, again, while we address the other problems, because obviously, if $1,000 a month won't cut it, maybe rent's too high, and we need to go back to having those conversations. But that's a whole other thing. Whole
It's
other
kind
thing.
of the same. It's like all
No, I
connected,
agree.
though. It's all a hot mess about us, and by us I mean just the normal average Joe, right? Like standing up for our rights and what's right, and I don't know how you stand up against rent when you don't pay rent. You live in the street. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's a harder one because I mean, and it's harder. It's harder for us, and it's one of the reasons we've become so desensitized. Is that there? I mean, if we make any efforts to stand up against, like, if we protest large businesses, or if large businesses fail, they all get support from the federal government or from us as a whole to still exist. So they're the natural forces, natural market forces, aren't at play so much. So it leaves us without a lot of that natural recourse and leverage to be able to hold people's feet to the fire.
Yeah, because they'll get bailed out by the government.
Yes,
Now you made me
landlords
mad.
hate this one trick: not paying your rent. Thank you, Stephen. Yes,
Yeah, but then they also can kick you out.
that is true.
And if you don't and if you don't pay your rent on any rental application, it asks you if you've ever been evicted. And then so you'll never have another place to live again. And then you're back in a
Well,
box or
it's
living with
like
your mother.
John
Either way.
McAfee uh, promoted, is we should become ungovernable, because if all of us do it, if one of us does it, that's one thing. If all of us do it, it's a whole other thing.
And see, there's too many wussies. Too many wussies. You try to get that's why teachers strike at 4 p.m. Come on, because they're big fat wussy pants.
Well, I mean, that's a complicated thing if you have a no. And I mean, teachers unions being a public employee union is a whole complicated thing in and of itself, because you're basically, your union is paid for by the people who want to take advantage of you. Like, that's a whole very
Yes,
complicated set of circumstances. So I mean, yeah. Yeah. That's we haven't I don't think we've done our
that's
public
what.
unions episode yet. So
Yeah, I need to
I'm
learn
going
more
to turn
about
down
that
my
too. So we
rant on
should do
that.
it. Yeah. Coming to a podcast episode
Oh,
near
and
you.
Steven asked, how can the government make this right? And I think that's probably the worst question anybody could ask.
Why?
Because most of the problems that we're in are a result of central planning. And central planning is
They get
done
well.
by the government.
I think it's because of the interests or of the elite. The interests are in of the elite, and there's too many chefs in the kitchen. Like every interest group in the world like is controlling our government. Like it's
Yeah.
insanity. It needs to be. This is what I think. People wipe it out. Wipe it out from. We revote we revote the main characters, right? we revote them back in, and they start to rebuild under a new structure.
Well, I mean,
Same basic structure, but there's like, how the bigger something gets, the more peons are hired that do, like, what do
it
they
gets
do? Who
top heavy
knows?
for no reason. But I mean,
Yeah.
we used to live in a world where Congress was being forced to meet. And I didn't do any reading on this. I didn't expect this to come up, but so many times a year that they were being forced to meet so many times a year, and now it's a full-time job. Before, congressmen, senators held jobs, and periodically went to
Yeah.
address the issues of the nation, right? And that was the whole thing. And now it's their full-time job, and that full-time job
Which would
also
be better
includes accepting money from
on the side.
yeah. So I
FCA.
think UBI is a decent way, like I've said, it's a good stopgap measure, and it would inevitably it would create an opportunity for market forces to be more effective. But other than
Yeah.
that, other than just getting rid of themselves outright, I don't think the government can do anything.
Yeah, I think getting rid of themselves right is a good plan. Start from
Yay,
scratch.
you're an
That's what I
anarch.
think.
Oh, never mind. I thought I
Oh,
drug you over to the anarchy train.
why? What made you stop
Well,
saying?
you wanted to start again. It's just get rid of the government, and then
Oh,
we'll all just move on with our lives.
but I think there's a
No,
purpose.
I
There's a
agree.
purpose for
I
a government.
agree.
Again, because people are a
Yeah.
holes. It reminds me of that sign that meme that shows that sign at the grocery store where the condoms are, and it says, "Please do not try these on." Someone had to do that for that sign to be required. I'm just saying, and probably more than one someone
I
had to do
have
that.
never seen that, and that is
You haven't seen that meme? Oh, I will find it and send it to you. But my point is, the government has to be because people suck. A lot of people
yeah.
suck, and including the people in the government. Unfortunately, this goes back to my whole thing that should be on my headstone. Don't be an
Yeah, I
a-hole.
mean,
We have
it
come
is a
full
good place
circle.
to start. Stephen asked, with UBI, would welfare and Social Security go away? Immediately, welfare, yes, 100%. And it would also
Yeah.
empower all of those people on welfare to not be subject to the conditions for which they obtain that money. So they can get jobs and they can actually make an effort to better their lives while still actually getting that money. The welfare system would be 100%
Yes.
improved. Social Security is a little more complicated. There are a lot of
Yeah.
expectations and a lot of shitty. I think Social Security's
Well, and
should
people
go
we paid
away.
into it.
Yes, sort of. Yeah, from your expectation, you have paid into it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You have paid
Well, I
for
mean, it's a
you pay in
tax.
Social Security to pay other people's Social Security checks right now. Like that
Yeah.
money isn't still
Which
there.
that's crazy.
So, but
So somebody
that's
in
a
the beginning
complicated
spent
world.
all the money. You know what I mean?
Well, no, there was just there was a misalignment, right? So if you have
There's
more
always a
workers
delayed
than you have
system.
retirees, then
Oh,
you
you
have an
told me
excess
this.
of money. But as soon as that switches, not blaming boomers here, but let it be done. Um, as soon as they started retiring, you saw an inverse where the workforce was not able
Okay.
to supply as much for the Social Security program to support all the retirees.
And then we had population control with COVID.
Wait, what is that?
I'm just saying. I'm just
So you think
saying.
this is centrally planned population control?
No, I think it's universe
Oh,
planned.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. So this is my question. What are all these people doing? Like where I took a year, I would say sabbatical-ish, but I worked the whole time. I just had super easy jobs. But what are all these people doing that are not employed
I
right
have
now?
no idea. I could tell you what I'd be doing if it were me. I'd be having nervous
What?
breakdowns on the daily.
Yo,
I'd be in
yeah.
the fetal position in the corner, going, I don't know where the money comes from. I don't know what to do with myself. This is
Yeah.
it. We're done.
Well, then maybe perhaps they had some money saved.
Yeah. I mean, it's not likely based on the
Maybe.
numbers, but
Yeah, yeah. And then they had the extra money from the unemployment. But now it's gone. So now what? People have to return to the workforce. And then a lot of people started their own gigs that is eventually going to filter and run out, like the increase of the coaching
yeah.
era is it's going to burn itself out. Like you can have that plethora. I think it's a very valid business, And I think mental health on that kind of level that doesn't require a therapist is a great idea. But I just think that
It's
there's too many.
oversaturated now.
Yeah, there's just too many. Somebody's gonna have to go back to work.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna have to serve the burgers, okay,
Yeah.
people?
Do you think the Uber drivers are gonna go back, the all the contributors to the gig economy, or do you think we're gonna have to wait till they get employment status and in more states as
That's a good.
we go along?
Well, I think some have already come back. Like you can get an
Oh
Uber
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely still there.
Before you could get anything. Like it was no, you could not even at a reasonable hour, not any time, you could not get an Uber.
Yeah, it was bad.
But now yeah, now it's all good. So I don't know why they're coming back. I don't know why they weren't there to begin with. I have no idea.
Let's see. Well, and I don't know. So Jake's posted a link to the PDF report for employment numbers. And I think that's
Oh,
complicated because I'm not sure how many people are especially for people engaged in the gig economy might actually be reported self-employed. I don't know. I don't know to what
oh,
extent,
yeah.
especially like you're talking about if people start online businesses and stuff, if
And
they
they'll start
report
under the
as
table at
yeah.
first.
Yeah, so they probably wouldn't report as self-employed at first.
At
Yeah.
first, no. But yeah. Especially if they have another job. But this is the whole point of this conversation. If they don't have another job.
Well, I mean, and it should be encouraging to so all of the kids going through all of this time right now should absolutely see the value in developing hobbies that can get them jobs. Like if
Yeah.
anything should be taken away from all of this is you should always have more abilities than you have work. Yeah.
Self-sufficiency. Yeah, self-sufficiency, I think, is something that, oops, that I think really came out of this and made me want to be even more self-sufficient with everything. It should make our whole, especially even like look at state-wise when things were restricted from state to state. So even states hopefully are wanting to be more
Yeah.
self-sufficient and our country. But
Well, and to do that, I mean, we
now we're
just have to
talking.
take back more of our power. We'll quit being so centralized and keep letting our power getting so far away from us geographically even.
Yeah, but that you can't do like it's too
Yeah.
big. It's like Goliath and what is the other person's name?
David,
Giant and Goliath.
Goliath. Yeah.
David.
I think that might actually be where the
David and
word
Goliath.
Goliath comes from.
What?
Yeah.
Giant? Oh, okay. I have no idea.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
I
like
don't
David and
know,
Goliath.
but
We got to shoot the government in the eyeball with a stone, dude. Where is the government's eyeball?
no, I mean to do that we have to again become ungovernable. We all have to collectively decide to be ungovernable.
Let's do it. I'm for it. I'm for it.
And
Let's
we'll
do
walk
it.
the
Let's
streets. I
move.
mean, if we all stop paying taxes, there'd be a shit show.
Yeah, you know what though? Like, first of all, okay, I have two things to say. One, what we're talking about starts to make me think of those people who like wanted to cancel the police and like they made their little area of town
Oh yeah, in Seattle.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was
I
that?
don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, that's it made me think of that. I already forgot the second thing I was gonna say.
Well, TC said time limits, which I'm guessing she means term limits. Um,
Oh
and
yeah.
I used to be a big. I mean, still a proponent of term limits. Obviously, term limits are helpful, but the political structure that we have, in one man's opinion, is so biased towards what it's trying to accomplish that having the
That it wouldn't matter
yeah
who's in
that
there.
it's been proven in documentaries and talking to young politicians and the pressure that they're undergoing in that a young democrat or young republican are being pressured by the people in those offices. So I mean maybe term limits would help if we wiped everything out, but I don't think that it's a good start solution.
But even if I just don't think it's gonna
Yeah.
matter. Like you said, like I think that everybody is they just drinking the Kool-Aid. And not even drinking the Kool-Aid, like they're having it forced down their
Well,
gullet.
and
But they didn't willingly drink the
this
Kool-Aid.
situation, so I was reading an article and they made a good point that um and I'm just going to read the quote from the book Poor People's Movements. Unemployed people have been severed from their relationship with each other. They've also been severed from their relationship with their primary antagonist, their employer. And I would say that generally speaking, when you become unemployed, that is a you problem. That you feel like that's a personal problem. That you don't always reach
Uh-huh.
out. You don't always collect with other unemployed people, because suddenly, I mean, you're losing a lot of time. You've obviously lost a lot of money. There are a lot of hindrances to that, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that the way of solving all of those large scale political problems involve us being more diligent, and that's the hardest part, because if there was more competition in ideas, and I'll say parties just because that's how our stupid ass system works, but if there was more diversity, more competition, and people decided to be more aware and started to work more collectively as understanding who our primary antagonist is in those instances, it's just like you aren't at war with your employer, right? But in that there's a relationship between you and your employer which is inherently divisive. Like your priorities are different and you can work together, but
Mm-hmm.
it's very easy for one of you to be taken advantage of if you don't work collectively. And it's the same thing with the government.
Yeah.
We have to understand that in those, we have to understand the motivations of the government and the incentives that they work under and work together to fight against that. But we need everybody to kind of wake up a little bit.
Because education awareness leads to a desire for education, leads to action. And I remember what I was going to say, and it kind of fits with this. Like, so when we pay taxes, right? Like, it goes to so many different
Mm.
things that we would never even know about. Like, you have no idea. Nobody, not one single person has any idea where all these taxes go to. So, like, there's like beautification grants that are given to states. Like, I worked for a metal cactus to be put up on the side of the road, right? Like some of my tax dollars went to that as a grant for Las Vegas to put up that metal cactus.
Yeah.
So like it's just like you said, it's so many things that we don't even as the common man, we don't even
Yeah. The
know.
scope is so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so big. And like you couldn't even find out, I don't think. I know everything's supposed to be transparent in the government or whatever. Like it's supposed to be somewhere, but how could you even find out? You'd have to look at the entire
Well, and
country's
it would you
budget.
it's about reading bills, which as we know, a lot of congressmen and senators don't actually do themselves because it's so long and purposefully done so that I mean anything could be in there, and unless you're reading all of it all the time, which I'm sure the way that it's done is in a way that it would be impossible. You'd have to have 300 interns reading constantly just to be able to keep up with the workload, which is why it's all a problem.
Yeah, and it really should be one issue, one bill. One issue, one bill. And I don't care. And then the vote determines it. If you have to throw in something on this side to be able to get this side to say yes, then the people aren't voting for it. Assuming that those government officials represent the
Yeah.
people.
Which they don't. I don't think. I think the idea
No,
of,
they represent
yeah,
big
there's no
business.
loyalty to constituency at all. And if they go in, I feel like, and just for the sake of having balance, I guess, I think that there is an intention for most people going in to respect their constituency and to honestly represent their constituency. And I think it probably gets hammered out of them, if I were to guess, probably the first week.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. 100%. I can see good intention. I mean, even when I go into a new position or even a new school year, I have many, many more intentions than I actually do. It just, you realize, oh crap, I can't even do all this, right? And then you get tired and you have outside forces that are stopping you. So I can totally see that happening, that they started with good intention and then went to
Yeah.
poop and they couldn't do it. And then the meat industry comes in with their $100 bill under the table. Says support the meat industry, whatever.
Wow, that took it that
On
turned
video.
hard. That turned hard.
They're all controlled. We are all controlled by the meat industry and soda. Don't get me started on soda and
Steven says, April,
big
quit your
business.
crazy talk. The feed the children needs the metal cactus line items.
The feed the
Yeah, feed
children.
the children.
Oh yeah. In the big
Yeah.
bill that we
What?
the Feed the Children bill, there was $1,000 cactus grant in there.
And TC said, look at your utility bills and look at all the added fees. I will speak to this as having somebody that just moved to Georgia. And a warning for anybody that moves to Georgia, they will charge you like a 3% tax on your vehicle the first time you register it. They have a value added tax for any new vehicle you purchase here or if you bring a new vehicle to be registered. And I mean, you're talking about taxes that could reach $1,500, $2,000 very rapidly if you have any kind of newer vehicle. And it's kind of out of the blue. You don't even really know about it unless people talk about it. Granted, afterwards, all of the registration taxes are fairly low, but it's one of those things where it's a surprise. And when you're in that position, you
Yeah.
almost don't have a choice. It's not like, oh
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to
Like
move
who?
to. Oh wait, I already did.
Yeah, or I'm not going to register my maybe I'll ride a scooter.
Yeah, get an e-bike now. E-bikes are a great
Yeah.
solution.
Oh, that's a good idea. I was thinking what I would want in Hawaii, because what if I don't want a car? It's very dangerous on the roads. So a scooter is dangerous, so I guess an e-bike would be dangerous
Well, I
too,
mean,
huh?
you can ride an e-bike. Well, I mean, it depends on the local laws as far as where you could ride it, as far as being on the sidewalk or if there are
Oh
bike
yeah,
lanes or
they don't care about the laws really out here. You really
because
can do pretty much
scooters
anything you want unless you piss them
scooters you
off.
can't really take on sidewalks because they're decidedly motor
Yep.
vehicles. They're more
Yeah,
motorcycle than
yeah.
bicycle, whereas an
And so
e-bike is
bicycle you
a
can get away
yeah.
with
I mean,
more.
it's got pedals on it. Who the hell
Yeah.
knows?
You'd be safer. You could just pretend you're pedaling like really fast. Look at me go.
Well, the pedaling is.
I'm
I mean,
like,
pedaling charges helps to assist maintaining battery charge.
oh, okay.
E-bikes are magic. If you haven't looked, I mean, you should look into them.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any for sale out
Yes,
here.
there are. It's a big. It's like it's exploding. Yeah,
Is it
it's
exploding?
exploding.
Like the volcano. It
Yeah.
was just at a volcano. I just wanted to connect it.
And yeah,
Ooh,
Jake thinks at the in your W-2 at the end of the year, line item 5, where do you want your tax dollars to go? 1, military; 2, education; 3, unicorn research. Um,
damn. Can you only pick
I don't
one?
know. Maybe you could do percentages.
I would like 50 and 50,
I
education
was gonna
and
say, can you
unicorn
have
research.
write-ins? Because I support ponies for all. I don't know about
Oh,
unicorn
yes.
research. Because as you know, unicorns and leprechauns are mortal enemies.
I didn't
So
know that.
I think
I think you made that. I think that's a myth.
that was I don't know.
I ran out of water. That's very sad. So, what's going to happen? Like, are people going to go back to work? They have to, right?
Eventually, I mean,
Do you think?
if there isn't action taken, and pray to God there isn't. I mean, I don't want people to suffer, and I really hope people aren't on whole suffering as a result of this, and that there are more, like, cause what were the numbers? 2.9% of the entire workforce quit their job in the month of August. So I hope that a larger swath of that is voluntary and people aren't suffering.
Yeah.
But the longer that this goes, the more everyone will benefit from it because everyone
Yeah.
will see
What do you
the
see?
increase in value of labor.
I hope that it does. I hope that it doesn't just go back to status quo. Another thing that's happening is, for example, like truck drivers right now, they're giving like it said like huge bonuses to sign on and then $100,000 a year. BTW, I had a CDL. I could easily become a truck driver. Not the point. Um, the businesses, a lot of people are complaining that new people coming on are getting all of this benefits, these huge signing bonuses and increased salary, whereas the people who have been sitting there working this whole time are not getting these
Which is
benefits.
more encouragement to, as the title of the thing, quit your
Quit.
job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like change internet service providers, take advantage of what you can take advantage of.
Go no internet if you
Well,
can.
sure.
Self-sufficiency.
I don't.
Stand out with a satellite thingy.
Well, I
Get your
mean,
own internet. Can you do that?
we are getting much closer to the point of what is it? The Tesla satellite stuff that's being rolled out for rural areas. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So we may see a giant disruption because I mean part of the problem with the internet market is it's all infrastructure and the infrastructure has to be owned by some entity, right? Yeah.
Somebody.
So
Yeah.
if you start doing satellite stuff, you create a bigger understanding of what that infrastructure is. We'll get more competition and everybody will benefit from it. And we'll have good internet like they do in Europe.
Oh, do they have good
That's what
internet in
I've
Europe?
heard. I know
Oh,
I spoke very authoritatively there, but I shouldn't
you
have.
did. I was like,
But
what? I knew nothing
it's
about.
probably also state-owned infrastructure in Europe if I were to wager.
Oh,
So
yeah, that makes
I don't know.
sense.
And also, I don't think that
Hmm.
those nations are nearly as adversarial as far as government versus constituency.
With the people.
But I could be wrong. Again,
Oh,
don't live there.
yeah. I don't know a lot of peeps that
Yeah.
do. Huh. So, but also, this is mildly unrelated because that's what I do. But in apocalyptic times, the first thing that's going to go, guys, is the satellites, our communication. So
Well, the
maybe it's
satellites will
good,
stay longer than anything else.
but the infrastructure to get the
Yeah,
thing, what
as
is
long
going
as
to
you
happen?
got it. No, no, we're not gonna have internet. You're gonna have the satellites, but you're not gonna have anything connecting to them. Probably. I mean, it's
Uh,
just a matter of power, really.
but what if there are what is the one that I saw?
Sunspots.
There's yeah,
Oh, that's. I mean, that's.
sun does.
I mean, eventually we're
I
gonna
just watched
die
something about that.
because the sun is growing.
Yeah.
Eventually, that is
So the
going to
sun
be
is
a
going to
yeah.
explode.
In a million years, humanity
And
will cease
I was
existing
going to
unless
say,
we leave the planet.
and what will this all matter? What will your $15 an hour matter and your encouragement? It won't even matter.
If it were up to April, evolution would not exist. It's like, it doesn't matter. We'll
Yeah,
just lay down and die.
it doesn't matter. Because in a million years, we'll be dead. Yeah, might as well just do it
And that's
now.
why
I
organisms
have some
never left the
Kool-Aid for you.
oceans and why we're all still single celled.
If I had the power in the beginning of time, we would all be floating in the ocean still. That's what we all want to do now. See, it would just like take out the
Yep.
middleman. I'll be floating in the ocean. So, quitting your job. Let's talk about that. What time is it? Oh, we got time.
It's
When you quit
It
your job,
terrifies me.
quitting your job. I've done it many times. Would you like
Yeah,
me to give
you
you
are much more
pointers?
skilled at it. I like having certain things known, and anytime that you change jobs, I mean, you're going to get into a different environment with different people. You don't necessarily know what to expect. Even like when you talk about getting another job as part of quitting your job, it's still a terrifying because I know what I'm getting where I'm at,
Yeah,
and you don't know what you're going to get. And
I can see
even if you
that.
sit down in an interview with people and you work out what you're getting paid and everything, you don't know what things are going to be like when you get there and find out, oh, they're all just a bunch of douchebags and I hate this
Hmm.
and the grass isn't always greener. Or as I believe,
That
I
is
don't think the
true.
grass is probably ever really greener. Maybe different patches of grass are green, but the
Yes.
yard's going to be the same.
Yeah, the patches of grass change. But I have walked away from many a position, um, mostly out of I was like you, like I like security. I always wanted to be secure and know. And there became a time when I started wanting freedom. Like I wanted the freedom to do what I believe and the freedom to say what I think and the freedom to, like I learned at this last job, to pee when I want to pee and to walk outside and to like, you know what I mean? Like I needed that freedom. So the first job, oh gosh, I've left so many actually. Now that I think about it, I've left jobs like I just left a job and how long did I work there? August, September, 2 months. I worked there 2 months, but it was killing me. I was assistant principal at another school for like 3 months and got a new job because I was being treated like poo poo. Like, no. But I think that's what more we have to do. Like, it's ridiculous. I talked to another assistant principal at the job at that time, and they're like, April, this is just how they talk to you here. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
Hell no. You will not talk to me like poo poo. Go find someone else to talk to like poo poo. Or when I was young, I remember I quit a job. This apparently went on in my younger years as well. But I was a manager at a store, and they hired the main manager quit, and she abandoned me and left me, and they hired someone else. And as managers, there were three of us. We would take turns working weekends, right? So we always worked a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, each of
Yeah.
us. And then, so I made the schedules, because I did everything because I'm a control freak. So I made the schedule. So I made the new manager the schedule, and she looked at it. She's like, "Oh, I don't work weekends." I was like, and I handed it back to her. I said, "Now you do." And I left.
She didn't last long, I'm guessing, or you didn't last long after that.
I quit. No, I quit right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I quit. I'm like, now you work weekends. This is not,
This is not a
this does
negotiation.
not work for me. Yeah. I'm like, I get paid jack crap at a clothing store. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
I guess
I quit.
I'm speaking to my never-ending mound of privilege that I have. I've never been in. I never have felt like I was in that situation. Yeah.
Really? It happens to me all the time. How does this happen? When I was bus driving, they added to my route, and I was going to school at the time, and they added to my route, and you just walk in and they're like, "Oh, you have this extra stop in your route." Well, it would have meant I wouldn't made it to my class on time. I said, "I can't do that." They said, "You have to do it." I said, "I'm not doing it, and this is my last day." And like, because I have to go to
Yeah,
class,
there
like
are
I'm going to school to
priorities.
do
Yeah.
something not bus
Which
driving people,
you
okay?
might as well have
Not
stayed in
that
bus driving.
I should have. I'd be making bank now. I'd be making bank. Anyway, yeah, but and people, they have to know, like, they have to, like, treat people as people. I think that's what the problem is. Instead of like a commodity, instead of like you're a worker and I'm going to try to get as much out of you as I can. I'm going to try to suck the value out of you instead of like a
Yeah, we're
communal
coming
thing,
to an
like where I'm
agreement.
giving
Yeah.
value, you're giving value. Yeah, right? Like, and that is a continuous value that can grow bigger and larger, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just taking something from something, it's just going to eventually
Efficiency is the
die.
enemy sometimes. Really,
Yeah.
it's the
And
enemy of
people get
humanity as a whole. Even though it's an evolutionary directive, it's it's bad stuff.
agreed. Well, efficiency and what is productivity? Like optimal
Yeah.
productivity is not always
Yeah.
optimal in the long run. Do you want, it's like instant gratification,
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and
which is a
we
human
were
condition.
conditioned, we were designed, we have evolved to try to do as much as we can with the least amount of energy spent to conserve calories for survival's sake. So we will continue to do
Yeah.
that, and if we aren't cognizant of it in our daily lives, and if you stop and think about it and realize it, there are things that you ignore, even if it's not paying attention 100% while driving, because you've done it 1,000 times, you've made that route. Anytime you autopilot to someplace, that's what's going on. It means you're not paying attention, that you've decided not to burn
Yeah.
those calories to pay attention to get to where you're going.
Well, your brain usually has decided
Yeah,
that, and your
y-
subconscious
yeah,
over.
yeah. But
Yeah.
we're deciding that as like you have to
Yeah.
make the effort to
To
be
be
aware.
aware, which leads to the whole woo woo and being in the present moment,
Well, I don't think a
which
lot of that. I don't
again,
think all of it is woo woo.
well, I always say woo is today's woo is tomorrow's science.
Well,
So, you
that's
know how I
yeah,
feel.
that's
I say woo to so you people out there can understand
we've
and
reached a
relate.
point where that I don't know that I can agree with that anymore.
Shush.
Like
You
I
will tomorrow.
understand your
If tomorrow
your
comes and you're
point.
like,
Where
ah,
it's like, oh, we're fixing things with our mind powers due to meditation. Um, we can assemble things we don't even need robots anymore because we all have telekinesis. Um,
little, I'm not talking about that kind of woo.
any advice for someone that wants to start a successful business and hire employees? Steven asks. I think you're asking the two worst
Hiring employees
humans.
sucks butt. Yeah.
Asking the two worst humans that question in the entire world.
We have started 0 successful businesses and hired 0 successful
Yeah. And
employees.
I don't have a manager like mentality in my life. I would say depending on what it is, like so if
Like,
you wanted to start a small business and you had no real desire to scale, I would say work is hard doing the same work as your employees do. And yeah, there's going to be some time that you have to take off to do administrative shit probably. But if you show your employees that you are willing to do the work that they're doing, I think that they'll be more amiable to the working situation because they'll understand that you recognize the problems and are more able to see solutions to those problems, to the problems that they have on a daily basis. Even if you do it, 2 times a week, 3 times a week, or whatever.
I was gonna say, even if you don't do it all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah,
Maintain that
absolutely. And that's what
connection.
teachers say.
Maintain that connection with
Yeah.
the work of your employees.
And know that you can teach skill. You can't teach drive and motivation, right? So if they don't know something, let it go, right? But if they show the desire and passion, and that's who you want to hire,
and if they don't show
there's a
that,
gecko.
fucking fire them.
Yes, and be okay with firing them.
Because it will
Be
affect
okay
your
with
employees that do have good attitudes.
Absolutely. That is contagious crap.
And you have to let go of that. And just explain to them that they should have quit their job anyway, and they need to become a part of the collective unemployed and take their power back somewhere else.
Yeah. They need Disney says
I'm so glad you can't see chat. There's been so much let it go in the chat today. Yeah.
First of all, I would like to let you know there's a gecko watching us. Like it's staring straight at me.
You're the worst.
Sitting on this, he's staring at me. He's like this. I see you. Anyway, but the Disney says, your magic. Oh shoot. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot what it is. I'll have to post it later because it's very good. That's how you fire people in the Disney way.
Oh yeah, you'll have to write it down right now.
Yeah.
We'll do a follow up next week. And Jake wants to know what's up with the purple Mobius on your dead grass background.
I don't know. It was random. I was gonna make up a lie, but I couldn't. It's just random.
There you go, Mr. Buying. All the answers to the universe.
Sorry.
I mean, I'm not sure that there's much more we can even say. But everybody,
no, I think
quit your jobs.
Quit your job. Stand up. I just quit mine and got a new one, and it is fabulous.
We will. So if you want to send us backgrounds for April, thematic backgrounds for whenever we give you topics in advance, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook, and we'll figure out how you can send it to us. Because I don't know off the top of my head what the easiest way to do that would be.
Oh, I do. It's just a pic, and then I download it and upload it.
Yeah. Well, I know. I mean to send it to us, not for it to exist.
Oh! I just realized I don't know why I feel the need to say this, but no dick pics.
Oh well, I mean
that's not cool.
They just won't make the cut. Post them on our Facebook all you want.
Yeah. No, do not.
Only if they're original content, please. So I think we're working on a guest for next week, right?
I'm trying. Guys, I'm reaching out to the furries, to the alien people, to the paranormal. If you know of anyone or you would like to be on just for funsies, come on.
Yeah, if there's a news topic that you are particularly knowledgeable in. We also have I've added dogs versus cats from input for our next Wheel of Randomness.
Okay. Yeah, we got Wheel of Randomness as an option.
Yeah, and we might just throw a Donatology on it to appease Jacob. For anybody that was in chat last week, apparently a Donatology has to do with Callipygian women. Callipygian being defined as having well-shaped buttocks.
Clearly, it is a religion I am a part of.
I did not realize he was being a troll, and he might argue that he's not, but just for the sake of addressing this, because I felt bad for dismissing him. So it's a global religion that aims to teach Callipygian women and individuals the hidden and universal truth about the creation of life, the divine triad, about self, the world, and mankind as a whole.
What does that have to do with buttocks?
Well, I guess it's a church that only accepts Callipygian women. I don't know. It's kind of confusing.
We're gonna need to do more.
Yeah, that's why I told him. That's why I told him immediately. I'm like, I can't I can't put this on a wheel for a 15-minute conversation because that's going to be a whole thing.
Yeah. Totally.
All right, so join us next week. I'm going to do some testing. We're going to get the stupid technical glitches worked out and figure out why nobody could hear our audio. Thanks for sticking with us. Please
Yes.
do all the things below. Like, share, subscribe. Hit the little belly bell so you get all the heads ups from when we're going live. And we'll see you next week. Until then, have meaningful conversations.